just isn't there right now in the staffing of congressional offices that I'm aware of. I know that in my office, I'm the only person who has a background in finance. We have several people who come from the regulatory agencies and are attorneys, which I think is extremely critical to analyzing what's going on right now. When we were negotiating the TARP with the Bush administration in September, there were, a handful of staffers representing each critical office, the House offices, the leadership offices, et cetera, in these negotiations. And out of everybody there, the two people who had a finance background were myself and Neil Kashgari, representing the Bush Treasury. I'm not saying that only financial people should be making financial public policy, but I think that we need to go, do a lot more in terms of bringing that type of diversity into our public policy-making offices. In terms of what the United States should be doing, every time I speak with a foreign central bank head or an IMF official, this is the message that they send to us. And my response to them is the United States has taken unprecedented actions in an unprecedented period of time, basically since last fall. Every single one of the protections we've put in place to secure our financial system, whether it's increasing the deposit insurance for retail deposit in banks, or if it's the broader financial stability package. These are the types of big public policy decisions that have been debated for decades, and Congress was able to enact these changes within a matter of, hours in October and September. If anything, many people have expressed concern about how quickly Congress has acted because of the long-term potential consequences of these decisions that we're making right now. I also think there's a danger in sort of market participants, the media, setting up these expectations of what, quote-unquote, Washington should be doing to help the economy, because then, we're just trapped in this self-reinforcing negative cycle where the expectations, these unrealistic expectations, are set so high, and then no matter what public policymakers do, whether it's Timothy Geithner coming out with an announcement or a congressional committee holding a hearing, those policy statements are not enough to satisfy the appetite that has been whetted by the media and others. So I would caution. Obviously, there's a lot more to do, and this president, along with Congress, has taken many measures in the last couple of months. But I would really caution against, some of the financial bloggers and economists saying that we need to, quote unquote, recapitalize the banking system once and for all. Well, that's just not going to happen because nobody even knows what the size of the hole is, and if anyone in this world can cough up the change to fill that hole, I would love to know who they are. But again, I do think that there are I think we should temper the expectations that we're placing not only on sort of those of us in Washington, but I think everybody has a responsibility to analyze and contribute to this debate in a thoughtful manner.
Chris, there are a bunch of questions about the president himself, and you probably know him better than virtually anyone other than Michelle and maybe Valerie Jarrett. What do you think are the president's strengths that he brings to the White House right at this moment that you most admire?
And John, this is one of those times that I would defer to you because I think you've been in those conversations as well. But what I would point to is his incredible intellect, his incredible self-confidence. And I'd say that not in a sense of arrogance, but he has a sense of himself, and he is not fazed by the big problems ahead of him. But I think the thing that I point to most is his desire to listen to all points of view. And John and I have both been in these rooms where, important decisions are being hashed out by the president. He does not want a group of yes men around him. He wants to hear diverging points of view. And if he sees somebody in the room who is not talking, he will call on that person. For those of you that are lawyers in the room, I often compare it to, the most incredible Socratic method of law school. I mean, you have a professor who will put you on the hot seat and ask you question after question. It's one of these amazing things. I mean, no matter you go in to brief him, and no matter how well briefed you are, he ends up finding the thing that you actually know the least well and probing you on that one thing. It's that incredible intellect he has, and I think these are important times, and times that call for a thoughtful conversation from all sides. You know, the president is trying to move beyond, you know, a discourse that's been filled with a lot of jargon, a lot of, you know, unhelpful rhetoric, and trying to move towards taking this country in a new direction. That's going to require people on all sides, people on both sides of the political aisle to join together, and we have a president who is willing to hear all opinions.
There's a comment from the audience, which I would note, which is that we're all Democrats up here, and the person notes that President Bush's cabinet had a total of 3 African Americans, 2 Asians, women, Latinos, etc., and President Bush appointed 100+ Asian Americans to office, and I don't think we meant to be partisan. Maybe it was just that. Chris is just a hot ticket these days because he currently works at the White House. So, to the committee of 100, we need better balance on the panel next time around. We're running out of time. I'm gonna read. I want to read 2 questions and ask you to comment on either one. One is, how important is it to give back to the general community versus giving back to the APA community specifically? And the other is. Today's the second day of APA Heritage Month. Can you speak to the importance of having mentors in your life? And did you have an APA mentor when you were beginning your career? So why don't we start with Julie and take either one?
Okay, well, this kind of comes back to your first question to me, John, which I answered incompletely. What brought me back to Washington after living in London and New York doing these other things? While I was abroad, during the Bush administration, I traveled tremendously for my job all over the world. And I encountered, as the debate for engagement in Iraq, military operations in Iraq, was going on at the UN, a huge amount of, obviously, foreign criticism, which we all know how that played out during that period. But sort of realizing how the country that I come from was going down the wrong path, and living it through my encounters with my colleagues and friends who were from different countries really motivated me to more directly take part in this process, in the public policy process. And I think that ultimately the desire to serve in public service comes from this understanding of personal experiences and how motivated you are to participate. Again, the rewards are not monetary, but there are definitely other rewards that I don't think can be found anywhere.